It's that time again. It's time to talk truly. My name is Ed Calais. I am with Truly Effortless Events, and this is Talk Truly, where we love to highlight local businesses, people in the community, to lift them up, give them something to talk about and learn a little bit more about them. Because if you're going to do business with them, hey, you need to know more. We're at Area 52. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Area 52 Media Group Studio right here in Ringo, Georgia. And today we have Brent Rainey with Cadence Bank. You know, I've been knowing Brent for quite some time. We met each other on the battlefield of poker. Playing poker.
Good times. Good times.
Great times. And we've bonded over you know our mutual dislike of each other's favorite football team. Even though mine is a little bit better.
Not this season.
Not this, though not this season. But a dear friend.
Yes, sir.
Also with Cadence Bank, which is the sponsor. They're bringing us truly home this year. Cadence Bank is that's awesome. We love to have it. We love to have you on the show. Let's talk about some Brent here. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, my brother. Thank you for having me. Thank you for always being a part of my process and my journey in life. And thank you for shouting out Cadence Bank because I love what I do and we love helping the community. We truly do.
So you're apparently you might be from that little city down south of Chattanooga, from originally from Atlanta. The place where they have, what do they call their football team? Dirty Birds, something like that.
Something
Yeah.
like the Rise Up crew, the Atlanta Falcons, the Dirty Birds,
Oh yeah, rise up because they're sitting on their butts. all the time.
Dominators of the
Yeah.
Aints, Dominators of the Aints to the west. So it's okay. We go by a lot of names, but it's okay. We most recently beat the Bills.
Oh,
That was kind of a national coverage thing. So it's okay.
okay.
Season's
Yeah.
looking pretty hopeful right now.
Well, yeah. Hopeful. That's the word I would use. Yeah. So,
All
Brent,
right.
what brought you to Chattanooga?
Chattanooga. This is actually my second tour in Chattanooga. Ed, the first time I came to Chattanooga was in 2014, 2015 when I was managing with Sherwin-Williams. I used to manage one of the Red Bank locations. Did a little rep work in the area. Helped turn that store around after one of the season managers had left. And then because I did so well here, I was dispatched to another area to go change another store around and fix that location up as well. But once I left corporate America, my mindset was, where can I work in all the places I went with Sherwin-Williams, which is about 16 different states? Where could I work that felt like home most, that was closest to home, where I could be as close as I could to Atlanta in case something happened, but far enough where I don't have to worry about Atlanta always coming to see me. And Chattanooga felt like home. I love the community here. I love that Chattanooga supports its home. And I just love having 4 seasons and beautiful landscapes to look at year round.
I would say the traffic, but the traffic in Atlanta is really bad, but in Chattanooga is starting to get bad.
With this being football season and me commuting back and forth, I'm a season ticket holder to that team you love to hate.
Yeah.
I appreciate Chattanooga traffic more and more every weekend right now because Chattanooga is still one of those cities where you may type in something 20 miles in your GPS and it still takes about 32 minutes to get there versus being in downtown Atlanta. And
Takes
something
an
being
hour.
3 miles away and it taking an hour to get a couple blocks. Yeah, so I still appreciate Chattanooga for all it has to offer.
Yeah,
Most
a lot of people
definitely.
going like they think it's bad. Oh, it's not as bad as it could be.
Somebody from Ringo who's never really been inhabited or lived inside of the city of Atlanta, they should appreciate what 24 looks like in the afternoon and in the morning because it has nothing to do with 75, I-20, 285, I-85 at any point of the day in Atlanta. So it's still pretty different up here.
Well, so how long have you been living on this tour?
This tour, I bought a home. I moved back to Chattanooga in 2019. I bought a home in Sighted Daisy, a side of town I never thought I would live on, but I appreciate it so much for the peace it allows me to have. And my mom was a city slicker from Atlanta, and my dad was a country boy. So my dad was more South Atlanta, Fayetteville, Fairburn, Union City. My mom was more East Point, College Park, the SWATs of Atlanta. So I've been able to kind of blend in both, I guess you could say social circles, but I appreciate having yard and land and beautiful views as I stated before.
You know, that's a unique marriage right there. That country boy and that city girl.
Yeah, man. It
Whew.
works though. It works. It works. It works, man. I mean, like my parents had a beautiful marriage, instilled a lot of good values in me. My dad was more of the hard work, my mom was more of the city hustle and bustle. So she valued education, he valued hard work, and they both kind of instilled those in me, and it kind of helped create the man you see today. So I'm excited.
Now, ever since I've known you, you've done loans. You've been in the mortgage business.
Yes,
You
sir.
worked for a different company before, and you now with your role with Cadence Bank, which you know, I'll be honest with you, I've never seen you more proud of being at a position. You know, from the time that you were building up to get there, you know, it was excitement. You know, the fact that you were going to Cadence, and I know that I think you found your home.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, like you said, coming from College Park, I recognized early what it was like to own a home. My mom owned a home, and my dad moved into her house when they got married, and I saw the benefits of owning a home. I saw what it was like with a lot of other family members not to own homes. So, with me being with Cadence right now, my position is now a community development lender. And I didn't realize, since you've known me, my whole journey has been about developing the community. As a lender, I mean, I do believe in community development, community building, and economic empowerment. And with this job, I can look at the person who's been overlooked and told no, and I can also look out for the person who prepared for the process and was ready to start the journey. Your type A clientele, your type D clientele, I help every letter in between as well. But with this job right now, I'm always on the yes side of the table. I love being on that side of the table. I wanted to be a face that was familiar to people who may not have dreamed of home ownership because it's not something we talk about in certain communities. But I also wanted to be a face of knowledge, and I also wanted to be a face of comfort for people that were overqualified to buy a house, could easily buy a home. Those people that came from those communities where there was more preparation in the process. But I also wanted to be a place of comfort for people who never thought they would be coming to a bank to speak to somebody about a home. I wanted to be relatable.
That's big. I mean, you're telling me if there's people out there that think they can't buy a home, you might be able to show them that they can.
Mhm. Well,
Mm.
because I mean, you look at the type A clientele; those are people who are usually prepared to buy a home. They have the credit, the income, and qualifying assets to get a home. But even with those clientele, they need guidance because some loan officers may just give you a deal, and it may not be the best deal. You may not be educated on what a great deal looks like. You may not know about APR interest rates. You may not know about certain sides of town. They need to have great referral partners to put you in the position to live out your needs and wants when it comes to making that huge investment. As far as your type D, C clientele, being educated on the process, knowing what it takes to buy a home, how to properly prepare for buying a home. How does my credit need to align with my income? How does that need to align with the proper assets to prove that I can, in hard times, afford this home that I'm investing in? Even those people who have those substantial assets, how well am I managing those assets to make sure I maintain this asset long term?
You know, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
You know, because Cadence Bank is one of the sponsors that truly own.
Yes, sir.
You know, I want to challenge you because I know that you're going to be one of the speakers. You know, you're going to be going up there and you're going to talk about what Cadence has to offer and everything. I want you to hold a seminar titled "If You Think You Can't Buy a Home, You Might Be Wrong."
I got you. I'm with that one.
All right.
I'm with that.
Okay. And I'm look, I'm putting the pressure on you
So you're
because I'm
gonna
gonna be telling everybody.
you're gonna make me get a big button that says, "Let me show you how."
Let me show you how.
Let me show you how.
You know, because the words you're talking right now, there's a lot of people out there that can't afford a home, or even more so, think they can't afford a home.
There is nothing in life you can't do with proper preparation. We have a saying in my fraternity: bad preparation promotes bad performance, which inevitably promotes pain. With anything you do in life, you can prepare properly for it. You can execute any plan you ever wanted to in life. If I wanted to be president at age 17, if as long as I prepared for the process, knew exactly what steps I had to take by 34, that could be an accomplishment. If I thought I wanted to be an astronaut at 17, I knew I had to go to NASA, but I knew there was a process in order to get to NASA. Same thing with buying a home. If I want to own a home and I want to do it comfortably, the key word is comfortably, I need to start preparing for it. It shouldn't be something situational where something in life happened yesterday. And now all of a sudden I think I want to buy a home. For my best borrowers, those are the borrowers that started taking the process seriously 6 months to a year prior to deciding to put in an application.
So if in general, if someone was thinking about buying a home, and they were in that position, they're going like, well, I don't think I can.
Mhm.
What would be some good advice for you to tell them to start? Hey, you need to start here because not this is going to be on YouTube. It's
Mhm.
going to be on Facebook. It's going to be on TikTok. It's we'll probably find it in some trucker's bathroom in Atlanta. Because that's I'm just joking.
Oh
No
man.
offense to any truckers.
I just pray it doesn't hit Bourbon Street in New Orleans.
I know,
God,
right?
I know
I
that
knew
message is
that
going to
was
get
coming.
lost. Ooh, you know.
But what's some great advice if you say, okay, look, and because this is a little preview of the class that I'm challenging you, and I'm challenging you right now on the spot to put together.
All right, so I'm going to look at you, but I'm also going to focus on the crowd, okay? Because
Okay.
I need to make sure I make exact connection with the crowd, okay? The best advice I can give you if you're looking to buy a home is to access your credit report and see what you have going for you in the positive and what you have going for you in the negative. The biggest thing I tell most of my clients is, do you know the 5 parts of a FICO score? And Nate, I'll ask you the same question. What was a passing grade numerically when we were in school? Numerically, what was a passing grade?
Passing
Mhm.
was probably 70.
I'm happy you said that. Have you ever heard of the 30% rule when it comes to credit?
No.
30% of your FICO score is credit utilization. 35% of your FICO score is payment history. What do you think eliminates most borrowers? Both of those parts. Most people don't know what's on their credit report, so they don't know if they have a history that's in their favor or unfavorable. Most people in this day and time, in the economic situation that we're in right now, everybody's overextended. So utilization is key. If you use 30% of your credit card, that 30% will always be in your favor. If you know what's on your payment history, that 35% is now going for you rather than going against you. The other 35% is 10% credit mix, mixing in your installments with your revolvings, with your mortgages, with your HELOCs, um, and other types of loans on the credit report. 15% of it is length of credit history. If my oldest account is 15 years old and I somehow cancel that account, but my next oldest account is 8 years old, the length of my credit history is now 8 years when it used to be 15. And the last part is just new credit. You can have somebody with 800 credit score and they'll never achieve the 850 if they can't demonstrate that they can manage new credit while maintaining old credit. So the biggest advice I give you all if you're looking to buy a home is know what's on your credit report. That is the key. That's how we qualify you. That's how we determine which programs you fit in, and that's how we determine your path towards home ownership.
Now, what about people? Because over years, people just put their head down and just grind, and they don't even worry about credit score because they're just grinding to pay bills.
Do you know when
Mm.
credit was established?
What?
I was born in 1988. Credit was established in 1981. The FICO scale, the FICO score model.
Yeah.
So credit's relatively new considering some of the age of our country. Credit's a relatively new thing, but you know what I tell most of my clients? It's just like driving. The first time you drove a car, were you nervous? Were you nervous?
No.
I was a little nervous about well, I got a speeding ticket like my third time out. So, I was nervous about that, going home and telling my mom and my dad about it. But the first time you do anything, you're nervous about it. But when
Mhm.
you truly master something and become a creature of habit, you understand it better. So I tell most people, you may never understand credit fully, but as long as you can understand the nuances of how it goes, how to improve it, how it hurts you, you can navigate it a whole lot better. The other parts of it are income and assets. You can't buy a $400,000 house making a $1,200 a week income, or unless you have your liabilities well managed. Because we look at monthly recurring debts going against you, and you have to save for it. You have to demonstrate that you can at least have enough funds to close. If I get you in a situation where, as a community development lender, if I get you down payment assistance, the system's still going to require a certain amount of reserves. So, and reserves are just how many estimated monthly payments do you have in reserve in case something happens in life? You lose that job, family member gets sick.
How much money you got in the
How
bank?
much money do you have in the bank? I might not ask you to bring anything to closing, but you got to have something for a rainy day.
That living the paycheck to paycheck,
Hmm.
it's got to stop, and you got to start putting away, huh?
But we talked about it earlier before we started this podcast. With proper financial discipline, anything is possible, and that's one thing this job has taught me. Some of the best borrowers may not have it all in the bank, but they are very disciplined in how they spend their money and how they manage it. And if you can manage your money well, home ownership is not a possibility. It's a definite for you.
Mhm. Now let's talk a little bit about Cadence Bank.
All right.
You know, got a place in my heart for them. You know, being a being a sponsor of Truly Home. By the
Yes,
way,
sir.
Truly Home, November 18th, Chattanooga, downtown Marriott. Come see Mr. Brent Rainey. He's
I'll
going to
be
be there
there.
speaking.
I'll be there.
You know, a class that we created today. You know,
Hmm.
uh, so what makes Cadence different?
The thing I love about Cadence Bank, and from my experience with Cadence Bank, and prior to from the guy that brought me to Cadence Bank, Mr. Ivan Brown, who's now one of our VP and our relationship managers at the Broad Street location, Cadence Bank is a true relationship bank. I have four banks that I rotate through: the one on Broad Street downtown, the one in Chickamauga off 27. I have the one in Fordo on Battlefield, and I have the other one in Ringo off I believe it's 41. When I go to those branches, every client that walks in, every patron that walks in is greeted by first name basis. We are a true relationship community bank. Everyone knows everybody from your biggest cut, your biggest accounts to your person who just comes in and deposits a weekly check and pays their bills. They know everyone. The management teams are awesome, and the bank tellers and the staffs are amazing. And we're all about getting into the communities. We go out, we make sales calls, we go out, we introduce ourselves, we do the community projects. I've done four Habitat for Humanity projects since I've been with the bank since March.
Wow.
And that's just because that's what we do. I mean, the bank president, Ryan Marshall, encourages us to get out, to get active, to increase the footprint. And at this point, we're just trying to make a big hole in the city and just let everybody know that Cadence Bank is here. We are here to help. We care. We truly care about what we do. It's just not about getting your business. It's about how we can help you grow as a person in that business.
Well, that's awesome. Now, talking about footprint, how big are you? I mean, are you in multiple states or
We're a regional bank, so we're in 11 states right now.
11?
The
Wow.
biggest catch I got when they were recruiting me to come to the company is that if there's a SEC school, there's a Cadence Bank. And literally, with some of the tickets I have access to for some of my clientele, we literally have access to every state that has a SEC school.
Well, let's go ahead and talk some LSU here.
We actually have tickets to LSU when they play Mississippi State, but that game has already happened, I believe, hasn't it?
I think it
Did
has.
you all win?
That was no.
Did you all win?
What you
It's an angst thing, so you guys just tend to
uh,
drop the ball from time to
how's
time.
Georgia doing? They're
Uh,
doing
I
okay.
mean, if there was no Alabama on our schedule, we'd be doing great. But where there's an Alabama, there's a loss, and where there's a Tennessee, there's a win. So shots fired there.
That you know what? That was
Sorry,
one
guys.
tight.
Sorry, guys.
Look,
Facts hurt.
excuse us as we go into friendship mode because this is what happens all the time when we're around each other. We can't help but give each other a hard time, and he usually ends up with him coming back and telling me, you know what, Ed, you're right, and thank you, I appreciate
You know
that.
what? I will say this on camera while I have it. With respects to Tennessee, this is a Tennessee versus Alabama weekend, and after we suffered our defeat to the hands of other Tuscaloosa flunkies, go Vols. You will never hear me say that again, but go Vols this weekend. Beat them by 50, okay?
Oh, I'm gonna get you a sticker to put on your
Don't
car.
give me a sticker because it won't make it out. It won't make it out of this room. Don't give me a sticker.
You won't even know. One day you're gonna come out in the parking lot and going like, man, why is that a Saints sticker, a LSU sticker, and a Tennessee Volunteer sticker on
As
your
long as
car?
you know what's coming down the track, and you always recognize it's the mean machine in red and black. Okay, it's all good, baby. It's all good. But yeah, I mean, I love Cadence because the community development is literally what we do. We have our CRA goals, and we exceed those goals year after year. It's all about impact. My job is already getting me out there. We just recently landed a development where I'm the preferred lender over 80 unit development
Oh wow.
in South Chattanooga, and we're looking to expand people into this project. It's the Somerville Cottages, looking to bring as many people in, but we're also looking to keep the neighborhood as the neighborhood as much as we possibly can.
That's a big
So
deal.
since last year, a year and a half ago, we've been having home buying seminars in that neighborhood to help educate clientele before they even broke ground on being qualified when everything goes vertical, being ready to buy those homes to keep the community as the community as much as possible, but also the best thing about a community is development and growth over time.
Hmm.
So it's a beautiful thing from both sides of the track. Um, I'm just happy to be a part of it, to see something that came from a thought that's now in fruition as an actual thing being developed. And I actually have 3 homeowners ready to move into those houses once they're built. So that's a beautiful situation as well.
Oh wow!
Yes, sir.
So Truly Home again it's a real estate and homeowner expo. I want to know what realtors need to expect from you. When they meet you, what do you have to bring to realtors? Because here's one thing that I've learned: I have so many friends that are realtors. You know, and they're just bombarded with salespeople, loan people, window companies, everybody painting, you name it, everybody's just trying to get to talk to a realtor. Always joking, to my friends, I said
Mhm.
I'll compare realtors to feral cats because when you go to pet a feral cat, they're running away.
Yes, sir.
You know, that's what a realtor has to feel like because they the thing about it is trust.
Mhm.
You know, before they do business with you, it's not like we're going like, okay, hey, I like you despite your taste in football. Let's do business.
Mhm.
No, they want to get to know you. So tell me, what are you going to be bringing to Truly Home?
The 2 biggest things I try and bring into every conversation with a realtor
Mhm.
is education and access. The biggest complaint you hear from a realtor is lenders don't call back. Lenders don't communicate properly. Well, anybody who knows me personally knows I over communicate. And I
Mhm.
do. If I say I'm going to call you back and I do miss a call, you always get one back. But my biggest thing about my job that I love is that I'm real big on the education, as I've spewed into it a couple times during this conversation we're having now. I want to educate realtors on what it takes to get more buyers home. What do most realtors care about?
Just selling a home.
But can you close more deals if you're better educated on what type of clients and what clients need to get into homes? If you
That's
know my
true.
process and I know your process, we can close more deals. We can help more families.
The real estate mortgage, the realtor mortgage originator
Mhm.
relationship is a key one. When people they know if they could call you and go like, hey, Brent, I got this, and they're handing it off to you, and you're handing it back.
Well, that's why I was excited when you approached me with the proposition of being a part of Truly Home, and this was before we even became one of the big sponsors of it.
Yeah.
That just came from throwing it up the ladder, and the higher ups loving the idea of it because partnering with organizations such as Truly Home and having accessibility to this many realtors allows us to help with our impact and our footprint, but also we increase the relationships to help us reach more families earlier in the process. We help realtors learn how to navigate the market as far as buyer uh, prospecting, as far as buyer needs, buyer preparedness. So being at this event and being visible in front of these realtors, it lets them know that hey, I am human, I am real, but I also take my job very, very seriously, and I care more than anything about getting these people in homes and making sure when they get in homes, they're comfortable. They're not overwhelmed by the process. They're not overwhelmed by the prices, and they're not overwhelmed by the life after closing.
I have to say, I really appreciate this conversation because I learn more about you and more about the passion of what drives you to do everything. And despite having horrible taste in football teams, you're you're very passionate about your job
Yes, sir.
in spite of being, you know, less knowledgeable about football. Um,
What's your record right now?
my personal record,
New Orleans Saints right now?
no one was saying.
It's been it's been a good looking 1-5, but I believe
Hey,
it's one and
I'm just gonna
five.
say Drew Brees. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, I could say
We
Matt
had
Ryan, but Drew Brees won his big game, and we had a lead for a
wait. Tell
half, and
tell
then
tell me about that Super Bowl you won.
so yeah, at Cadence
Hold on, the
Bank,
recap.
At Cadence Bank,
That's the shortest recap right there.
at Cadence Bank, we love helping the community. We love empowering home ownership. We love empowering the community. I mean, it's just not about mortgages at Cadence. It's about the businesses. I can't tell you how my relationship managers have great relationships with their builders, with their businesses, how we go out and we let people know how we can. I mean, we had a conversation earlier. We go in and let businesses know how they could be more profitable, how they could do things slightly better. We put them with our resources, and then we build better businesses, which build better economics, which build a better city.
you know, Educating the customer and educating the realtor, and just educating. Period
Mhm.
is kind of like what's needed when you're doing business because no one wants to. And the funny thing is, right before this filming, we had a cabinet guy. The Gus was on the show, and we were talking about like nobody likes a guy like, hey, just sign right here.
Mhm.
We gotta get, and that's back in our parents' day. You know, now it's kind of like ever since the invention of the internet, you have a more educated buyer. You know, you have a more savvy buyer.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, to where they could just smell through any kind of BS. If you're going like, so you're being straightforward, giving them the best product first. You know, um, it's a big deal, and I know that's important to you.
Well, you know what the beautiful thing about this whole, I guess you could say, collaboration is?
Hmm.
You had the vision. You're bringing in the realtors who are the faces. You're allowing me the space as the lender, who may be the clockwork behind the nice timepiece to make this whole thing work. Because ultimately, it's about empowering people to believe that they can buy a home, and through events like Truly Realtor, we're giving them the tools and the financing to make it happen.
Well, with Truly Home, we're formerly Truly Realtor,
Formerly, true, yes, sir. Truly Home now, because
Truly
we
Home
handle
now,
we handle all parts of the home now.
all parts of home.
Yes, sir.
Um, the phrase, like I said, it's where real relationships begin.
And I believe you every time you say it.
Because that's what it's about.
Mhm.
People, if you're going to any show that has to involve something in a long-term sale, you're not gonna close the deal at the
Mm-mm.
show.
No, sir. I
Yeah.
mean, and I look forward to going and meeting with all the other aspects of the home, the inspectors, the window installation people, the door installation, the appraisers, the other realty companies, the title companies. There's so many parts that go into this that don't get the credit or the appreciation for their parts in the process. Like I said, realtors are the face, but there's so many other parts of the process that it takes all of us coming together collectively to focus on one family, two families technically. You have a seller and you have a buyer to get both of them to have their goals accomplished in one transaction.
Well, it was my goal to put everyone involved in that
Accomplished.
whole transaction,
I appreciate that.
from the landscaper to the person who's going to be, um, you know, setting up the house for sale, to the roofer, to the home inspector, to every little aspect. Even like we even have a caterer when someone has an open house, they're supplying all the little cookies and everything.
It's funny you say that because I met you through poker.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the first time I met you. That was a bad night for me, but I bounced back a couple nights later.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But we also met through another networking group, and we do a lot of networking together outside of that group.
Yep.
But I have a realtor who I love in my group named David Zachary, and one thing he always asks for every week when we do our weekly ask is something related to the house. Oh, I need an introduction to an inspector. I need an introduction to a cleaning company. I need an introduction to a caterer for an open house I'm hosting. I need an introduction to an appraiser who can possibly look at some private properties when I'm doing for sale by owners. All aspects that you have of this show for Truly Home are a part of the process, and they need to be put on a pedestal because a lot of these people are my friends, they're my cohorts, they're my future collaboration, my future connections, and I can't wait to meet them.
Yep. Well, thank you again, Brent. I know you're a busy man,
I appreciate you inviting me.
and the fact that you made time out today to come here means a lot to me. Always going to be a big fan of you,
Likewise.
despite our differences.
If they ever catch us at a Falcons and Saints game, we'll have to sit opposite side of the stadium.
Oh no, we're going to sit side by side, and I'm
I
going to be
couldn't do it.
like proudly
I
in that
couldn't do
black
it.
and gold.
And I think you'd be equally as proud with the L as you would with the W. And I think I'd be the exact same way.
Oh, we're going to have some kind of goofy wager on this, like animal sounds on command or
We
something.
can go to New Orleans and I'll tell you why after we get off this call, okay?
Well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. I want to thank everyone for joining us
Yes.
on Talk Truly. If you're watching this on Facebook, you go to talktruly.com, see all the other podcasts. If you're watching this on TikTok or Instagram, of course, same thing, talktruly.com, and you'll find our channel. Thank you again. Have an amazing day.